Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? I see Maggie's here and Ray's here. How y'all doing this morning? As you can see, I have a guest this morning, Max Powers.
Oh, I have a mic on, so I can say hello.
Yeah.
Whenever, every morning since you've been doing this, that I've been
Yep.
watching it, when you get on and say "Good morning, so and so," "Good morning, so and so," like there's Maggie Dore and Ray Daw. Did you ever watch Romper Room? You're
Yeah.
too old for that, you know.
Yeah.
And little Miss whatever her name was would look through that mirror thing, and I see so and so. I see Ray Daw, and I see Maggie Dore, and I see Raven's Outpost, and everybody just paid money, and sent in their kid's name, so she'd say that. So I just got an alert on my phone. I got to go watch the Ravens Outpost.
Nice. Oh, it has really amazed me at how this has grown over the course of my time doing this, and how people will take time out of their day just sit here with me and bullshit for an hour or so.
It's kind of a nice break for those of us who sit in a bunker,
I, I
you
hear
know.
you. I hear you.
So
The concrete walls.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's real live concrete.
Damn it, man.
Had a little leak, so.
Well, good morning, Craig. How you doing this morning? Papa C in the house.
Morning, Papa C. Who haven't I said hello to? Okay. I can see the chat now. I had it on the wrong thing.
Oh yeah.
So it's weird to watch it from this perspective. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna pull something up here.
I'm not even angry, Ray. Why does she call me that? Just a
Mad
cranky
man.
old guy. I'm cranky.
Michael Haywood, how you doing this morning?
Oh. He's very formal. He always calls me Mr. Power. Oh, and there it is, Mr. Powers. So
There you go. Yep.
I am not world famous. I am not even worldly, Papa.
uh, hmm. Well, you've been around. That's good morning, Claude. How you doing this morning? Seems like you got your hands full, Papa.
Four things at
Oh,
once. Yeah.
four things at once.
I'm
Shit.
not a good multitasker.
I'm not either. It's a marvel that I can walk and chew gum at the same time.
They say those of us who can't multitask are better at what we do.
Uh-huh.
I may I may have just made that up to make myself feel good though. So I don't
I
know.
was I was going to say I think that's a lie in my case.
Well, yeah, but anything said with conviction is truth. So
Yeah. Well,
right?
people. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like how some people ask me why I cuss so much. I said, well, I'm passionate. I'm passionate.
And people who swear like are more truthful. They're perceived to be more truthful, you know?
Mm. For the most part, yeah. Mr. Lee 3PO in the house. How you doing?
R2 Lee 2. Sorry. I don't know. I don't know where the hell that came from, but I've called him that for a while now. I suppose to be right, it would be Mr. R2 Lee 2, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oops. I got to sit back so people don't, everybody's screen just went white.
It's bouncing off your forehead. Holy.
There is hair up there. I just shave it off.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, when my hairline started receding and I couldn't fight it anymore, I'm like, screw it. I just buzzed it all. Pyromedic. Jen, good morning, y'all.
Max freaking Powers. Do you see that? Hello, Pyromedic. Lee made me edit my name. I had it in as something else. I had my middle name in there.
Don't tell him that shit. You did it yourself.
I couldn't go on in case Sandra Piper was on. I don't want to offend her. You know.
Oh, Sandra. Bless her heart. Parkway.
Morning, Parkway.
Love you too, man.
I'm yeah, sure. I'm not good at saying that, you know.
Yep.
I never have been. I'd rather show people.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that.
So it's the Irish in me, I suppose.
Well, I'm Scott.
Gotcha. Scottish. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, who the hell's Scott?
My bad. Sorry. Happy birthday, Ray, by the way.
Happy birthday. Oh, was it? It's the big 7-0. Don't tell anyone. Is it the big 7-0?
She says she's 69 now.
Oh, 69 now. Oh, okay. I thought she was 69 like 10 years ago. And I'm sorry, Ray. I'm sorry.
Oh. Hell, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I might have taken better care of myself.
Yeah, I always thought I'd live to be 120. And now that I'm here, I mean, not at 120. I'm only at 53, but boy, oh boy, I think I'm going to reevaluate.
Oh, listen to this shit. That's years, not a position.
Wow. Wow.
Ray.
I hope my mom's not watching, Ray.
Lord of mercy. Dawn of the Dead. Have not seen you in a hot minute. Glad you stopped by. Howdy, Nikki. Harry Man Hoaxes and Hoodwinks. Good morning. Ray says, I hope she is. Blah, ha, ha, ha. Clayton Blackwell. Have not seen you in a hot minute either. How you doing, buddy? Did not mean to interrupt. You were getting ready to say something, Max.
I was? No, I probably just opened my mouth. I did. I'm a mouth breather.
Oh God, you and me both, I reckon. Lordy, lordy.
Mm-hmm.
So, you and I were talking about, the earlier about the egregore versus tulpa,
Mm-hmm.
thing. How did you come to how did you come to that conclusion when you're talking about running into things in the woods?
So, yeah, that's a good question. I believe in, and I don't like the term, but we all use it. I believe in the whole woo thing. I just don't necessarily think the woo is Bigfoot.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And no one has to agree with me. That's not a lecture I'm giving. Anyone can think what. I'm not telling anyone they're wrong. I'm not. Feel free to unsub from my channel. But so there's an ape in the woods, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's maybe one picture of it. People get fuzzy pictures all the time. I found footprints. people find physical evidence of these things. So I believe that there's a physical being. If you go to the woods now, tons of people are out there looking for these things, and they're putting that energy out there. And I think that I sound crazy on this stuff, but as human beings, I think that we're actually able to manifest things, right? I think that the power of suggestion is incredible with us, and that
Hmm.
thoughts do become things. I'm
Right.
not a big fan of The Secret. It goes back to like Wallace Wattles and all that stuff that I read, and it makes sense. um I think the energy between everything is what everything really is. And um these egregores, they've been talked about through all the time. If you go back to the Epic of Gilgamesh, you'll find mention of these things, the Watchers in the Bible, and they're mentioned in all kinds of ancient texts. Basically, what an egregore is, it's that group mind think, right? That's out there giving you what you want. Um, Amy Bruni is a paranormal researcher. You've seen her on the Travel Channel. She's from New England. Um, she's done a lot here on the Cape where I live. But she's been doing experiments that really suggest that a lot of these hauntings are just manifestations based on what people are looking for. So these homes that have these massive hauntings, um, it's been created by the people going there looking for certain results. I'll lean back so the glare's gone. Sorry. But she's been able to do experiments where she basically, like, one place had a guest book and she wrote on the guest book what she was expecting, but she added to it like a certain story, like a byline that she was expecting, and the data that she received through EVPs and all those things gave her what she was looking for. And if you go out in the woods in New England right now, especially in the summer, all these state parks and national parks, there's everybody looking for Bigfoot. If you go to probably your woods, everybody's woods, you'll hear people whooping and knocking. And so tons of people, way more than ever before, are out in these woods projecting that energy. And I really think a lot of this stuff we're getting is this egregore, this entity out there that's been created through that energy, giving us, the footsteps and things like that. And I think a lot of the woo is just that, whatever this is. So that's the nutshell version. But
Yeah, I kind of got to agree with you because I've kind of been on that track too for a little while. It's not everything that's happening out there is the forest folk doing this stuff. There's a lot of people overlook the fact that there's a lot of other entities and energy floating around out there that can be manifest in certain ways, and yeah, I tend to agree with you.
I mean, it's a theory, and that's all. It's not even a theory; it's an idea. Because
Right.
how do we actually test that? I go out in the
Hmm.
woods all the time, and one of the things that really got me thinking that way was Max. Oh, good, that's what you put up there. Sweat lodge. Yeah, exactly, Ray.
Hmm.
Um, I forgot what I was saying. Friggin' Ray, throwing my train of thought off. Um, oh, when one of the things that really triggered this was back when. Do we remember Mark Barton, right? From Trail to Bigfoot, who
Right.
had that traumatic experience in the woods.
Hmm.
I had been down. I'd been out with those guys. Actually, at that point, I don't think I had. But Chris Connor and Mark Barton had this Green Swamp Roundtable. I went down to that. I got to meet them. Came home, was out in the woods, and had this day of just the woo. The 50-pound sack of potatoes being dropped behind me, the mystery footprints. I got lost in my own woods. I could not. I just wanted to head north, and I couldn't head north. I kept veering off, and I couldn't figure out why. And so I happened to mention in, I think, a text, or I'm not sure if it was a text or an email to Chris Connor, geez, this is what's going on. And next thing I knew, my phone rang and we're talking. He's like, dude, don't go in there alone. This is what just happened to Mark. And I learned all about Mark's traumatic experience. But, I immediately started talking to Mark about this, and I won't go into all the behind the scenes thing,
Right.
but the experience is that nothing was really physical,
Right.
So their experiences out in the swamp as well. So I started thinking of what could this be? Is Bigfoot a ghost? Is Bigfoot? And we're getting something else. And I started trying to put 2 and 2 together. I still haven't. I don't know squat about what's out there. This is a suspicion that I have, and that's about it.
Well, they've for many years, I used to think that the Fae folk, the stories of the Fae folk, were just isolated to Europe, and come to find out, doing my doing a little bit of research and thinking outside the box, stories that mimic here in the United States from the indigenous people, the Native Americans, talk about things that happened in the forest that mimic things that happen in Europe. So there's an energy, something going on out there, and people tend to overlook. And just my personal opinion, and it's just like you say, there's a lot more to this. I think it's not everything we run into out there is Bigfoot. I think also and don't mean to interrupt.
No.
Get this. If I don't get this thought out, it'll fly away.
I get that.
If there are entities out there that form attachments to people also. I believe that. Then they tend to bring shit home with them.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure all that out.
Well, I don't know if we ever will.
Probably not. Not till we move on to this, the hereafter.
There are textbooks, but
right.
I don't know. There's not a provability of it, and do we need that? I don't know. So, but once you open your mind, let's say it's just Bigfoot. You're out in the woods, you see a Bigfoot. Okay,
right.
Maybe it's not a Bigfoot. Maybe you see an orb or whatever. Once you open your mind to one thing, how do you step back and say, well, this exists because I saw it?
Right.
Nothing else could possibly be there. Well, before you saw it, you didn't believe it was out there. So if you don't believe these other things are out there, is someone going to see it? Are you going to see it? Is there something else out there? I think we would be remiss in saying, nope, it's just Bigfoot.
Right.
Even Dogman, which scares the crap out of me. I don't want to find a Dogman.
Oh, hell no.
No.
Hell no.
But could they be out there? Well, who am I to say no? I saw Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
before I started all this cryptid stuff, I did a lot of paranormal investigations, ghost hunting, if you will. I investigated a few things here and there, and had experiences with what they term residual hauntings, where there's energy trapped there, and certain extenuating circumstances will activate this or trigger this haunting.
mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about here is energy either free floating or being trapped in certain areas, right? Maybe. So
Yeah, some people say, you know, natural elements like water and stone and
mhm,
those kind of things can capture that energy. So
mhm. Now when I had my experience, I was by the water. There's a creek
Mm.
running by me. Um, Now I'd heard the whoops, and this was at night. The oversized owl that people have mentioned. I'd experienced the stillness, the the quiet, that too quiet uh, phenomena. You know, and I experienced that a couple of times that day.
Mhm.
But that night, the forest was just exploding with sound. It was just crazy. Um, and I got the pictures in my head, and what I interpreted it was saying was leave now. And that's exactly what I interpreted it was
Mhm.
saying to me. It wasn't words, it wasn't a voice in my head. It was it was delivered to me in pictures, feelings, emotions, something like that, a combination of that. And it told me to leave. And by God, I did. And like I said earlier, I'd heard the whoop. I heard something probably about, I don't know. It sounded like it was several hundred yards away. I heard a wah, and I'm like, dude, that's a squatch. I got excited. I was thinking, well, I'm going to get some activity here. Yeah, so I'm out there by myself. It's not the first time I've ever camped alone. I've done it several times. No big deal. I don't care. I enjoyed it. I liked the solitude. This night was entirely different. And I've thought about that um, on and off ever since that happened. It's been almost 2 years now that this happened. And I'm wondering, I always thought it was Sasquatch that was doing that, that was putting that in my head. But what if, like you say, it was something else? You know, um, could have been something else that put that in my head and told me to leave. You know,
The last video I put up, if I'm cutting you off, let me know.
no,
I'll
you're good. You're good.
reserve
Yeah.
the thought. The last video I put up was when I was out with Parkway, who's in the chat.
Hmm.
Um, that the time out with Parkway was unbelievable. But although we found physical evidence, we also found we had a bizarre night of just crazy stuff, um, like orbs and like just hovering, watching where there was nothing, And we went out and checked again the next day, and I mean, they're just these big like balls of light floating in the sky, kind of sparkling with multicolors. And, it wasn't warm enough for firefly season or anything like that. I had seen them in the green swamp with the guy I go out with down there, Ron. Um, Seen one of them talk about the big fireflies, the giant fireflies. And one day he just looked at me and he said, Max, that wasn't a firefly. Oh, so the stuff is out there, people see it, but that night with Hippie was incredible, and it was the gamut of what people say is this Bigfoot phenomenon,
Hmm.
like taken from just a physical being out to all the other stuff too, crazy
Hmm.
calls, the knocks. I mean, we had absolutely everything. We were there for a few days, and you were talking about being scared to camp. Like I
Yeah.
camp alone all the time, up and down the East Coast. Like I
Hmm.
can make it you can really only make it from like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, south without hitting roads, but I can do it and have done it and just camped out there. And with Hippie, here's another guy who has an awareness of these things, but also the woods. Like, just his observation skills in the woods are amazing. I was scared to sleep in my tent on the roof. I climbed down and got in the truck and slept in there. I'd never done that.
Wow.
So, yeah. Hi, Sandra.
Good morning, Sandra. Let me cruise through here and see if I've missed anybody this morning.
I also, while you do that, I started talking about my last video.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of EVPs that I wasn't hearing out there in the woods. A couple of them I did hear, but for the most part, it's just chock full of EVPs. And I try and give like a heads up before they happen so you can hear them. And this is, people think I'm a crazy woo guy, and I'm not, but it's out there. The evidence is out there, and I don't know what it was.
Did you see that? Dogman, do you think it's a collective creation?
Here's the thing. And someone was saying it in the chat. Clayton, I think, was saying it in the chat. Like, there's documentation of these things, whether you consider them werewolves or what have you, but it goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
What if some of these things were, created and just are still around? And when does legend become? I don't know how to answer that because I don't know. It's an idea, and
there's so many tales or stories, documented stories of the Cynocephali, the dog-headed men.
Mm-hmm.
There's some type of chimera of some sort. Maybe they're related. Maybe they're a crossbreed of, I don't know, the Cynocephali and some other weird thing out there. Who knows? I can't myself personally deny the existence of the dog man. There's too many reports of them out there. Random people just going about their life, trying to enjoy their day or night, and run into these things. And the same thing with Sasquatch or whatever out there in the woods, and not necessarily out in the woods, and dude, I don't know.
I don't either.
It's a head scratcher about a lot. I mean, when I first started this channel right here, I started out documenting what I was doing. I didn't think it would get to where it's at now, but I digress. The fact of the matter is, I had it because I was so frustrated that people looked at me like a loon when I talked about it. And I got the physical evidence, like you were talking about. I videoed it. I've gotten that. I've never cast anything, which I wished I'd had, but but after a while, after I got confirmation for myself, after having experiences of my own, and then going back and listening to other people who I've never met before, will never meet, probably, and they've had similar experiences. I'm like, that's all the evidence I need. Personally, for me personally. And honestly, right now at this point, I'm like, I don't really need to prove anything to anybody. And I'm here. I'm going to extend this channel out to people who want to tell their story, who want to hear stories about it, who want to share information. That's why I called it the Ravens Outpost, named after Hunan and Moonin Odin's ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to gather and dispense information, share the wisdom. And I think you're chock full of it, my friend.
Yeah, no, I'm chock full of something. I don't know about wisdom.
Let's see.
My dad used to call me full of something. I'll spare.
Yeah.
I'm watching my language because Sandra Piper. She's sensitive.
She forgives me a lot. I'm sure because
Well, she likes you, Lee.
I let stuff fly a lot.
So.
Well, I like Sandra too.
I do too. But she likes you better than me, and she likes Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot better than me. So.
Mogollon Monster in the house.
Moggs is here.
Hey,
there's someone I'd like to have a beer. Does he drink? I'd like to have a beer with Moggs sometime.
Do you drink, Moggs?
We could just do coffee. I do that too.
Look here. Many cultures talk about genetic manipulation in the first time. Yeah. Oh, here's your answer. Don't drink.
That's all right. Coffee? We could do coffee.
Yeah. Coffee.
Everybody take a sip.
I got the it's a like a Swedish thing. I remember my grandfather doing it, slurping the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I slurp my coffee. So if I annoy anyone, I apologize.
I started out doing that stuff. I'd start the show when I started the morning stuff.
Yeah. So I'm trying very hard not to, but if I annoy someone, I'll stop. When I'm done with it, anyway.
Good morning, Brandy.
I won't sing.
Thank you for listening. She's no slurping, for fuck's sake. Sorry, Sandra. Oh, here we go.
It's a Swedish thing, right? My grandfather actually used to put the sugar cube between his teeth. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If it was too hot, you put it in the saucer and slurp it out of the saucer.
Oh. I've never heard of that. Seriously.
Wow. Unfortunately, that's where I got all my manners. So.
Sounds like good manners to me.
Slurping is good. It aerates the coffee and gives you more flavor. I just made that up. I don't know if that's true.
It's a barbarian thing, so stop. I am
it's a Viking thing, yeah. So
yeah, I got some Viking roots.
I was just looking at a house in Västerbotten. Thinking about bailing and just going living in the woods. I gotta ask Magnus Johansson. Is he still out there? Was he mid Sweden Bigfoot or something like that?
It's been a long time since I've heard from him.
Yeah, he was finding stuff, but I think he's up in like Västerbotten or Norrbotten, which is like Arctic Circle kind of
right
area. My fear is getting to the supermarket though,
Right. Like, how far out are you when you get up there? Is it like living in Alaska?
No, like 500 years ago, the Swedish government populated that area intentionally. So they like gave people farmland and reindeer and said, "Go on, you live there." And so there's little villages, and their transportation system is pretty good. But like, I probably wouldn't go north of Jokkmokk, but
yeah.
If anyone has a house over there. Mr. Lee 3PO, yeah. Swedes slurp their coffee. It's okay.
Skull.
Skål. Jag talar inte svenska. Sorry, Clayton. Jag förstår lite.
So how many languages do you speak? I barely speak this one.
That's a good question. I don't speak any. Like, I don't even speak English well. But I had a job where I used to travel. And so I can, like, check into a hotel in French, Italian, find a good restaurant, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic. But I know like 5 sentences in each. And if someone, I used to be really good at the accents. If you're practicing a language and you want to learn it, don't get good at the accent until after you've learned the language, because the second you say it with that perfect accent, they turn to you and go, blah, 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 and
That's what
you're
you
lost.
hear.
And you're completely
Yeah.
lost.
Yep.
So, but I only know what I needed to know because I traveled. And I was not on a need to know basis with a lot of things. So,
Oh, Sandra, that's a very good point. Back in the day, you wouldn't serve coffee without a saucer. That is true. That is true. I mean, it's just here within the last 25 years that you would get coffee without a saucer. I mean, that's how it was served in my house when growing up. Dad would have a cup of coffee, he'd have a saucer with it.
oh yeah. I'm trying to think, if you get like a set of plates anymore, do you get a saucer still? I don't know. I don't buy plates.
You do?
I know.
But do you remember that they would have a special ring in the middle of that saucer where you would put your coffee cup, and it was just like
Yes.
made for it.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore. You don't.
Right. That's what you get a salad plate instead.
Right.
Oh. Mr. Lee 3PO. Mi dispiace, signore. Io non capisco l'italiano molto bene. And that's about all I can say in Italian. It's all you need to say. And then they say, oh, you're an American.
Way more than me. Way more than me. I can't do any of that. Nope.
So
Jeff says English. Klingon.
Dude, do you speak Klingon? That'd be awesome.
Klingon. That's a very guttural language.
I was impressed with his. I don't get to watch many channels often, but, and forgive me for calling it this, but Pine Island's blue ball experiment. That was great, and I really want to watch more of that channel, but I don't get much opportunity to watch Bigfoot stuff. So
I don't get a chance to watch the shows much anymore. I'm working in the evenings now, and I get it when I get a chance to go back and watch the reruns. It's just I'm always doing something else. I mean, I've set aside this time during the day to do this right here, because I don't want to get away from it. I can't do the evening shows like I used to, so I'm just too busy. And my schedule's changing up after the first of the year, and we're really not going to be able to have a chance to do all that.
My schedule's too hectic. I don't even have a schedule. I don't do squat, but I just can't watch 90 hours a day. It's impossible. And there's so much out there. And there's good stuff. Like I would love to see where those experiments went and how, when I first saw it, I'm like, blue balls, that's an assumption, blah, blah, blah. But then I went back and I found out how they got to the blue. Is the blue a real thing? And it's a legitimate experiment. And I thought that was great. And I don't think enough people prove it to themselves. A lot of people take a lot for granted, a lot of prior research. Those people before us said this, so therefore it must be true. Whereas that whole experiment, he rebuilt it, which I enjoyed. So,
yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Just got some good content.
Yeah, it really does. I just don't get enough time to. Excuse me while I finish my pot of coffee here. I'm sorry.
This dude is set up. He's got his coffee maker, pot, creamer, everything right there so he can get it. And what do you say, a 2-foot walk to get to your little mini fridge?
Well, the mini fridge is over there, yeah, but
dude, yeah,
but,
I need that set up, seriously.
Yeah, no. Some people have real kitchens. I don't. This is it. Have you ever made like oodles and noodles in a coffee maker? It works. It's not very good.
Really? No, I've done shit on a hot plate.
Yeah, add the water first.
Just saying. Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning. Jay says it's called making a living. My content gets spotty every now and then because of situations that's beyond my control. Like last week, internet issues. Yesterday, power issues. Dude, it was ridiculous. Started out the morning, and I have to go through and reset everything. It's crazy. And I'm like, I've made some poor life choices in my past where I'm not independently wealthy. I've just got these problems. And I'm self-funded. I don't ask anything from anybody, and I try to get done what I can get done. And sometimes I hate not being able to put out the content because, to be honest with you, this show's been kind of therapy for me. And when I'm away from it, I feel it. I miss it. Just having the conversations, because you can't have these conversations with just anybody,
You can, but they'll think you're nuts.
Well, that's fact. That's true.
I didn't know I was dirty. I'm Mad Max. I'm apparently a mess. I don't know. I like, people don't think highly of me, apparently. Poor choices make for great lessons. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the story of my life. That's where all this wisdom came from. It's not wisdom, it's bullshit. But yeah. So, like, The Secret, I embraced that before the book ever came out. My dad always laughed and said I spent money like I had it.
But, right.
Yeah.
I've been there. I was thinking, somebody asked me if there's anything you'd go back and change. If you could time travel, if you could go back in time and change anything, would you? And I would say probably 15 years ago, I might have said, yeah, I'd go back and change a lot. But today, right here, this minute, talking to you, I would say absolutely not. I wouldn't change a damn thing, good, bad, or whatever, because all the roads I've taken have led me right here to where I'm at. And I believe in the butterfly effect. I believe if you had changed one little thing in the past, it just throws everything off kilter. I wouldn't have my wife right now, and I would not have my son. And my son is the joy of my life. Seriously. And I'm sure I probably would not have that, and I would not risk that for nothing. So I wouldn't change nothing. Then I got a lot of wisdom out of the way.
I don't know because I don't have any of that stuff. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids, and I spent my whole life like looking for that next adventure. And when it
Hmm.
came up, I would take it and I would go. Um, but now I I just don't I don't have anything, and I'm still looking for that next adventure. You know
Part of me is too.
that sounds very sad. Don't feel bad for me,
No.
but you know. Like I could legitimately buy that $12,000 house up by Jokkmokk and move to Sweden if the Swedes would let me. But I don't think they will. They're too smart for that.
Shit. Oh my goodness.
You know what? Sitting here talking to you,
Hmm.
I realized that I kind of miss being in the chat. No offense, but there's so much going on there, and I'm talking to you, and I'm trying to
Oh
keep up with
yeah.
the chat, and I'm not a good multitasker, like I said before.
See, it's hard to
Yeah.
do. You
That's
get it.
probably why we get along in chat, Ray. What's getting hard to do? You were saying something, and
Oh yeah, I got distracted. I'm like that dog in Up. You
well, I
know,
cut you off.
no, that's okay.
Squirrel.
Yes, sir. You know what I'm what I'm talking about. That's funny. Um, you get shows that get big, like Bigfoot Odyssey. You got 48,000 subs, and you'll have upwards of 2,000 people watching live, and ever so many people in chat, and your chat's just flipping like that. It's hard to do all that by yourself. You need someone because a lot of good information comes from chat. And
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
like here, I see people get on chat and they just have conversations amongst themselves, and has
Right.
nothing to do with what I'm talking about, which I find really great because I mean, fellowship here, but it. I can't multitask either.
I think it's like we're all ADD, and that's like I don't know, like it, created by society, the society we live in now, where our phones, like I've
Hmm.
got not only do I'm having a conversation with you,
Right.
I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but on my screen, every time someone texts me, that's popping up too. So, but that's the way our lives are now.
Hmm.
We're just inundated. If my phone rings, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to know what's going on.
Hmm.
I got a tablet right here, and like, if my stocks drop more than 3%, it's going to ding. It's going to show me that. All not that I have many stocks or much money in it, but it's we're inundated with information, so we've become by nature ADD.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, at one point, I was so convinced that it was the younger generation who had their head down and looking at their phone all the time. One afternoon, um, one afternoon, I'm with a bunch of people headed back to the shop from it's the end of my shift. I'm getting ready to go home, and I've noticed people on the bus older than me, quite a bit older, and got this right here, and they're like this. They're the same, head down, typing, just like this. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to be shitting me. Everybody's doing it now. Everybody's doing it. I mean, I'm guilty of it. You've got let's see, close to about 20 years ago now, I built my first computer, and I had 5 gigs of memory. That was big back then.
Mm-hmm.
I hate. Let's see, what was it like? 8 mega, 8, 12, no, 12 megabytes of RAM. That's it.
That's huge. My first computer was a Timex Sinclair 1000 that I built out, and I blew it out to 16K worth of
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
This little thing we carry around in our pocket would blow that away with the speed, processor, and everything.
yeah, and now Elon Musk wants to give us a little chip in our head so we don't have to type. He says the only things that are holding us back are our opposable thumbs.
Yeah.
Because we can only type so fast. Pine Island Research, this is not my bathroom, I swear.
What's this? Most people look around That's good. God almighty. Oh, Jeff.
Yeah, I was going to hang a picture or something, but that was too much work. I'm sorry. even to come on your show.
I
So.
understand that. It's been a good morning.
Yeah, it has. We just kind of once I shut up about Bigfoot.
Oh shoot!
That, but I have to say, you asked that question, not me.
I did ask that question.
Yeah. So.
Well, like we were saying. I mean, there's a lot more to look at than a lot of people think. I mean, I like to think that I think outside the box. Try to anyway. There's so many shows out here that are going over the same old thing and not really looking forward to anything else or exploring other avenues. And we were talking about this here not too long ago, and how you mentioned, concentrate on one thing, improve that, then go forward from there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with that.
But anytime I say those things, I go back. I'm like, well, who the hell am I to tell any of these people anything? Yes, I've seen it. Yes, I have some experience out in the woods, looking for it. But really, none of us know shit. And so the only reason that I push that science, let's figure out one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? I don't know why I'm so adamant about it. I think it's for my own, so I know I'm not crazy, and because it's a. I can't think of the right word for it. Not a benchmark, but being able to have, I don't know, scalable data, for lack of a better term.
You need
where we can look and say,
right. You need that personal confirmation too.
Well, I mean, seeing it is, and I have had a few experiences, but I think part of my issue, I had crazy experiences as a kid, talking out my window to whatever was out in the woods, to the point where my family calls me Booger.
Really?
Because they knew I was talking to Booger, the Booger in the woods.
Wow.
So, yeah, you guys don't have to call me that. Please don't. But
well, this right here, what Ray said is a conclusion I come to a long time ago. The more we learn, the more questions we have, and realize the less we know. And the same thing goes with Sasquatch. And more, every time I find an answer, I find like 3 or 4 more questions. So it's like a never-ending story. It's like, okay, why do they do this? What is that?
I'm always.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I was going to say, why don't they just come ahead and contact us if they're going to jump out and scare the shit out of us, or just aggravate us or harass us? Why don't they just communicate with us? Why is it that they have to be so elusive? What is it about them and us that puts us at odds. Why is that? I would love to know that question or that answer, because I think that would answer everything personally. Why do we not have any type of communication?
Well, for what comes to mind is we're the destroyer of things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like why do
Absolutely.
coyotes? Now they come for food, but they used to avoid us.
Mhm. Mhm.
They started to understand, and they'd come, and that's where we have dogs from. But
Mhm.
before that, they were like, "Who the hell is this? Can we eat that? Nope, I'm out of here."
Mhm.
But I think there's a lot of that where we're the destroyer of things, and animals, these things, realize that. Yeah, man, we suck. We totally
Mhm.
suck,
Mhm.
and they get to see that destruction. I think they're having similar problems that we're having. This is total assumption and me putting human thoughts and alongside them, which is total and utter bullshit, because we really can't do that
Right.
unless they're actually humans. There's that whole thing I always type in your chat, aliens plus Bigfoot equals man, and I think that's probably the case. But yeah, we're the destroyer of things.
Mhm.
Maybe they are far more intelligent than us. I have that guru of the woods theory. I don't know. So
I've often thought about that too. I got somebody. I forget where the conversation was going with. We were having a conversation at work about politics and this, that, and the other, and I hate talking about that. And I just said, humans as a whole, we're a tribal race. We're very tribal, and we'll gravitate to one side or another, and we'll stay with that tribe, and then we'll want to destroy everything that we don't understand or like. And this is how it is. If you're looking for peace, there's not going to be any till we change our way of thinking, and that you got to get down into the DNA. I'm pretty damn sure that it's ingrained in us to be a violent, warlike people race. It's too prevalent over the centuries. I mean, you know how what they say, the more things change, the more they say the same, and
right.
it's just people. We just found a new way to kill ourselves. We claim to be civilized and higher thinking and more advanced. Yeah, we're a more advanced group of assholes.
Mm-hmm. Or we're just ants.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
when you come, you remember being a kid, watching the ants on the sidewalk, playing with the ants on the sidewalk, moving them around
Mm-hmm.
with a stick. Hopefully not burning them with your magnifying glass. But
Right.
what if we're just ants to them? I never went and I never dug up their holes. I never did that. I just saw the ant, said, "Oh, that's an ant," and kind of played with it. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
total different end to that. My last statement about the possibilities, and that's the thing, is there's so many different possibilities I don't think we'll ever know.
It's true.
So
Yeah. Oh. Can you even believe we've been at this an hour? It doesn't feel like it. It's good conversation. It just goes too
it
fast.
is. Yeah. Coffee chat with Lee. Coffee talk. Is that what's the name of this?
Morning coffee.
Morning coffee. There it is. It's
Yeah.
in the upper left-hand corner. I can see it now.
That's the best I could come up with. I'm simple.
Morning coffee.
Yeah.
So yeah, good talking. I got to go back now and read all the things I missed in the chat though when this is over. So.
Yeah, me too.
So. And there's a lot of people in the chat. I'd like to have conversations with, but we're all over the world, so
I never thought I'd be global, dude. There's people all over the world watching me now.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's fun. I learn a lot. And something else I wanted to mention too, you'll find every now and then there are little pockets of people that just kind of keep to themselves, and you'll find out they believe the same things you do. And you hear it in whispers, but they're kind of like whispering a little too loud. But it's on subjects most people just like, let's walk away from. But my ears perk up every now and then. There's a few people where I work that looking into a lot of the same stuff that we are. And I'm like, interesting, and find out that Virginia Tech has a group of students that research Bigfoot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't.
it's just a student organization.
How about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna look them up.
Yeah,
Sure.
please do.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah. So this summer I didn't do it. It was just too hot. I couldn't. My brain like cooked inside my head. But the last couple summers, I got to go out and sit in the woods with, scientists in the experimental forest, and it was really interesting. At first, they all thought I was nuts, and they, jury's still out. They may be right on that. But after you're out with these people for a week or so, and they know you, and you've asked them your questions, they start to ask you questions, and it just kind of it's pretty interesting to get that kind of a perspective.
Yeah.
The scientists, well, why did you ask me this? You know what I mean? They don't answer the question. They ask
Mhm.
you a question in its place, and you have to come up with a question to ask them back, and it's pretty interesting. It's kind of cool. So
This one girl at work, she's kind of open about it. I mean, she doesn't promote it or anything like that, but on her vehicle, I noticed she had a bumper sticker that says "I brake for Bigfoot." I'm like, how far does this go? Is this a joke? What is it? And come to find out, and she's a college student. She actually did a scientific research. Okay, this is what she does when she's not working there, the transit authority, and she wrote a paper on Bigfoot. I'm like, really? That's interesting. And I have not had a chance to actually sit down with her and talk in depth about this, but I would love to pick her brain about what she thinks. And she's just
I'd like to read the paper. Could you get me a copy?
exactly. And I'm going to ask her for that and see if
Yeah.
I would love to take a look at it. Yeah, I would.
Yeah. It's so I that's part of my science thing too.
Hmm.
If we can stand back and just look at I call it the incremental science. So we've got a footprint. Let's look at the footprint. Okay, we've got Jeff Meldrum doing that. I've got a whole issue with the mid-tarsal break only because of the some large footprints that I found that don't appear to have them, but I'm not an expert. He is.
Hmm.
And then we go to the next piece of evidence and the next piece of evidence, and we just focus on the physical evidence and the science behind that piece of evidence, whatever it may be, hair or prints, or there's got to be someone out there who studies animal sounds, who actually studies the animal sounds rather than us saying, oh, that's a Bigfoot because it falls between, this many hertz and this many hertz. Well, we don't know that. That's an empty link that we all swear by, but we
Hmm.
don't have any proof. If we can
Exactly.
eliminate that and start finding the people who actually study that rather than the Bigfooters who learned it,
Hmm.
I think we'll get a lot further. And once science picks up on, hey, I don't know what this is, maybe these guys aren't as crazy as we thought. One piece of evidence is fine, but once we start stacking that incremental finding, I think we'll get a lot further in this search.
Hmm.
And we'll have more help. There'll be things like funding, grants, instead of finding that rich guy who can write you a check for equipment and gas,
Yeah.
Maybe we can get actual funding.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I would love to see that happen. We got two universities here, Virginia Tech and Radford University.
Mhm.
And I'm going to start. I've toyed with the idea, but I'm really going to do it now. Anthropologists. I'm going to talk to them and see what they think, and see if I can find people who are open to the idea. Because there's a lot of you know as well as I do that there are people out here who won't touch it with a 15-foot cattle prod because they're too afraid of losing their funding for their own personal research at whatever university they're at.
Mhm.
Then there's others who are like willing to just take donations. They'll do car washes and things like that to raise money to get out there and do research. Just
Mhm.
things like that. I want to find those people. I really would. And somebody who's more learned than I am. I mean, I've got a high school education, and then
That's one of the things that I learned out in the woods with the scientists out in the experimental forest is when you found something and you ask someone, well, hey, what is this? They would say either, oh, that's this, and I know it because that's what I study, or they'd say, ooh, that's a moss, and I'm not familiar with it, but I know this guy who does, and they'll get on the phone and ask.
Yeah.
So they go to the experts, and I think that's key. I'm kind of smart, but my brain is only so big. I can't study everything. I've only got so much time. So let's find the people who are already studying it and have them look at the information. And I would recommend not saying, hey, I've got some Bigfoot stuff here. Would you look at it? I would recommend saying, hey, I've got this strange call. I don't know what it is. I'm out in the woods camping all the time. I would love to know what it is because it scares the shit out of me. And someone will look at it and say, oh, that is a coyote, or, oh, that's this, or, oh, that's that. Or maybe they'll say, I don't know what the hell that is. Let's look into that. And that's the kind of thing. Once they start saying, then we've got help.
Right. Having an information network through resources like that will help a lot. There we go. Jeff says yes.
I just went back to read that.
Established experts in science that parallel our journey but aren't Bigfoot focused. The answers are peripheral, not in front of us. I agree with that.
And the Google bias, that's the wrong term for it. The confirmation bias, if we ask other Bigfooters, right? They're already swayed to believe that there's a Bigfoot out there. So their answer is less scientific and more specified into the Bigfoot realm. They'll make something Bigfoot.
Right.
So
one thing that keep me grounded while I was out doing my own investigations and research was I always heard my wife in the back of my head. She said, just don't be out there looking for Jesus in the potato chip. There was you. I don't know if you're old enough to remember when they were doing all these things where they were finding images of Christ in a piece of toast or something,
the Virgin
like
Mary and the steam on a window or something like that.
Right. And it's that belief, that want, that makes things happen. Going back to what we were talking about originally with the egregore, making things happen, bringing it to light, that want to believe. And I think it's, and to digress from that for just a little bit, I think that's where a lot of these people with there's the so-called blob squatches, there's the pictures they send in where they're like, they have to highlight 2 or 3 times and blow it up. And this is a Bigfoot right here. And I'm like, I don't see it. I'm not saying it's not there. It's just, it's not transferring very well to film.
Right. So go. You know where you took the picture. Go back and take another picture. Take it at the
Exactly.
same kind of time of day and the same kind of weather,
Mhm.
and see if it's a shadow.
Right.
Because if it's still, I guarantee, if it is a Bigfoot, he's not still standing in that spot.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got a picture of him.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I
So
mean, I've seen so many, and I feel bad about pointing a lot of this stuff out, and it really sounds like I'm putting these people down, but I'm really not. I understand where they're coming from. I understand their belief, their want to believe, and their want to have this contact and have this confirmation and get this so-called evidence. But when it's really not there for everybody to see, it's not there. If not everybody can see it. I mean, Patty is a prime example. That's that right now is our benchmark. What, 50 some years later? I mean, it's like, damn.
was it 67, 55 years later?
55 years later. The Paul Freeman footage. I personally believe that's real. Just looking at the way this thing walks through the woods.
That one looks so much like what I saw with my
Really?
dad. Just
Really?
it was walking across the trail in the other direction. Crazy. That big kind of not bodybuilder that you hear a lot, but like those guys when there's no other sports on, and those guys who flip tires across. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah. Not the bodybuilder, but the power lifter.
the
The guy
power
who's
guys, yeah,
just big,
exactly. That's what this thing was built like.
those guys that win the strongest man in the world competitions.
Yeah, exactly. Pull trucks with their teeth.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well,
But
I don't know. I don't know why they would try that. I think I'm going to pull this truck with my teeth. I
just strength. I just rip all the teeth out of your head. That just makes no sense to me.
I have soft teeth, so
It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's just that's not the evidence. If you're going for evidence, true evidence, and trying to prove it that way, these type of photographs and things like that aren't what you're going to want to submit to any type of scientific authority. I mean, it is not.
Do you? Let me ask everybody this. We have a lot of channels out there that are showing this kind of stuff and that are leaning towards, forgive me for using the term again, but the woo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think these people are? Do you think they believe what they're seeing? Like, do they believe that that's a real Bigfoot? And they just don't need to know anything else, and so they're fine saying it. Or do you think that it's like these, what do they call them, meta endorphins or whatever, that high that people get from getting the clicks?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot. I couldn't put a percentage on that. How many of them are true believers versus how many of them are wanting as you say, the clicks? And I get that. Clout chasers. They're wanting more views, more subscribers to whether it's YouTube, Instagram, whatever platform they're on. And I can see that in certain circumstances, and I have actually seen that in some circumstances where they're making up a bunch of stuff. Others that are capturing something that could be, but most likely not, but they're promoting it. And other people, the way they promote it is entertaining, not so much informative. And they'll go on with that. That hurts us so much in so many different ways, but also it helps us. And,
Do we call them out? Do we become the Bigfoot police, or do we just try and be better? Do you know what I mean?
Me myself, I try to be better. I don't like calling people out. I mean, that's the libertarian in me. It's like, you do you, boo boo. You know, just if you want to post that stuff, you post that stuff. It makes you feel good. Make it to do it. Just don't bring me into that mess. And I only will call it out if it's brought to my attention and I'm asked about it. It's like I've said, sometimes you don't ask a question you really don't want to know the answer to. You know?
Right.
So that's where I'm at. Do you
God, now
really want to know?
See, now we're into meat and potatoes, and we're too far into the show.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask it anyway. And you just cut me off. You've got the button. You can just hang up and all these people with and I've been out with them, and I've had people sincerely show me stuff, but RF meters in the woods or tri-field meters in the woods. Like I went out with someone who has a channel, a big channel. Like this guy's, someone fairly well known in the Bigfoot world. And he had an RF meter. We pulled up to a spot with a Bigfoot structure. He said, "This is what's going to happen." And explained exactly what would happen with that tri-field meter in the field. Everything happened exactly the way he said it would. But I don't know if that had anything to do with Bigfoot. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Is it just that area and what happens to be a structure, and we don't even really know about structures, right? These things happen in the woods. What they are or aren't, I don't know. And I've been trying to find that out, but I have science saying, yeah, that looks constructed, but I have them also saying a lot of that's pine beetles and that's forest fire damage. But when it goes to the RF meter, I've also been out with another group, and we were looking for, at all their evidence with this RF meter, and sometimes it would tick, sometimes it wouldn't. But we got to one spot not too far from where I was with that other researcher, and they said, this is what's going to happen here. And we got to that spot, and it is exactly the way they said it would go. So what's setting these things off? And do we look into that, or do we scrap that and throw it aside? I've been researching it. I down in that area, followed these vortexes on the East Coast. There's 3 down that way. One of them is Spooky Hill, which is right by the Green Swamp. In fact, the 3 in the south, if you make a triangle out of them, the Green Swamp ends up in like one point of that triangle.
Wow.
If you go north, you end up pretty much right where Hippie and I were. On that night that we had that crazy, that's where that vortex is, right around there. Again, you're in the point of a triangle. And if you go to the southwest point of that, you are in a town that used to have a Bigfoot festival in Louisiana. So is there something to it? The problem with that is when you look at that, you say yes. Then I laid Bigfoot sightings over that map. And Bigfoot sightings are just everywhere. So what's going on? Is this something related? Is it not? Is it something we pay attention to, or is it something that we just shake our heads and go, all right, let's move on?
Right. See, I used to be, when I was doing paranormal investigations, I tended to lean toward people who I thought knew what they were doing, and I would follow their lead and how they did stuff. And I was at the point where, when in doubt, throw it out. Right. But now I'm of a different mindset. And when in doubt, file it away. put it in another category, set it aside. If you
I got a
find
box
another
over here.
right, exactly. And if you find another anomaly that matches that one and this other's, go back and compare notes. Don't throw it out because it could be useful. It's like all this other all the eyewitness testimony that's out here. You can't, in good conscience, as an investigator, throw this out. You've got to file it away somewhere. You've got to
Right.
take a statement. You've got to put it in here if it does, and don't put yourself in a position of where you're just filing it. You looking at one certain thing. We've talked about this earlier today. I don't want to pigeonhole myself to a certain narrow way of thinking. Well, I'm just this is all I see. Anything beyond here, it's just I don't want to fool with.
Mm-hmm.
I personally can't do that. So yeah, I would say hold on to it, keep it.
Okay. So if you take it one step further, and hiking with Chewy, is that it? Hiking with Chewy was just on. He's a New Hampshire guy. There's one of these quote unquote vortexes in the Northeast, and it is right where Barney Hill and what's his wife's name? Betty and Barney Hill disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
It's also maybe a mile from where I had one of my big sightings. So the hike with Bigfoot, and then when I went back to camp that night, there was something there. So it's in the back of my mind, but I'm not willing to put too much weight there.
Yeah. Max.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to come on for another show tomorrow? Are you busy?
Let me check my schedule. Dude, I'm an old retired guy who's sitting in the bathroom doing nothing. So
according to Jeff, you're in the bathroom.
it's the bunker. Look at it's like a real live bunker. That's a concrete wall. It's not tile.
That's freaking awesome.
So
dude, yeah, we're hitting at almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, I have a problem. Now the chat's getting good. So.
I know.
So yeah, Brian and Chewy go hiking. Listen, we should talk about that area. If you've got any stuff up there, I would love to know where you camped, where you got the fingers along your tent, because I have had friends with similar things up there. So Max Powers, BigfootHunter@gmail.com. Go to the Watcher, right? Oh yeah, I saw that. I don't know if I saw that on your channel or on Petakov's. I'm not sure.
That's crazy. I want to talk more about this. I want to talk about the Bridgewater Triangle too, which you're talking about vortexes.
Yeah. I will not. I hike alone, and I go out alone all the time. I won't go back to do that there. Really? Yeah.
Dude, okay. Yeah. But I want to talk about this tomorrow.
All right. Same bad time, same bad channel. I'll make a bigger pot of coffee because I killed this one a while ago.
I've been nursing the hell out of this one. Right. I thought I was going to be able to make it last, but no, I'm at the dregs now.
And what's the Blue Balls guy's name?
Jeff Harding.
Jeff, I'll try and hang a picture or something. So, yeah.
Okay,
is that awful that I'm remembering as the Blue Balls guy?
Blue Balls guy. Jeff, I'm going to start calling you Blue Balls from now on.
Yeah. Baby. Sticky Blue Balls. Moggs, I'm in New England right now. I'm on Cape Cod, but I do most of my research like Green Mountain, White Mountain National Forest, and Grafton County, New Hampshire, which has the most sightings of anywhere in New Hampshire anyway. Massachusetts has the most sightings in New England, but so that's where I am. But I'd be willing to come out to the Mogollon Rim. No
That'd be
problem with
awesome.
that. So looking to get a trailer. I can't do the rooftop tent anymore, so I keep falling off it.
Damn it, man. Jeff says,
Yeah,
I've been called worse.
that's how I remembered your channel was the sticky blue balls.
That's awesome. Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, he's gonna call me Booger from now on.
Oh, my God. Yeah, probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Thank you, Ray. Love you, mean it, honey.
And tomorrow I'm gonna set an alarm so it goes off at noon so that I don't,
Right.
keep you going for an extra half an hour. I'm sorry.
Well, just I try to make up for yesterday. You're welcome, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, Mr. Lee, I'd like to catch your ear too. Oh, especially
Yeah.
about breakfast. What do you eat for breakfast? I can't have 6 rashers of bacon and a half dozen eggs, or 12 rashers of bacon and a half dozen eggs. But I'm sick. I'm sick of my avocado, eggs, and fruit. I need
Yeah.
new. Anyone out there on this diet that we always talk about? I need a new breakfast. Just saying.
I know.
You don't have to answer me now. We'll talk tomorrow.
Right. It's been a good conversation, man. And chat's been great. Chat's always been very interactive. Love it.
It's tougher because I'm on StreamYard. It's tougher to pop around. I can pop it out when I'm on YouTube,
Yeah. Yep.
so can't do that here. All right, bangers
All
and
right.
mash.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful morning. It's been it's in the afternoon now, and Mr. Lee, Jeff, Ray, Mogs, Brian and Chewy go hiking. Jeff, Sandra, everybody that's in chat. Thanks, guys, for stopping by and hanging with us this morning. It's been great, and thank you, Max, for stopping by and hanging with me.
Thank you. It's always I've been here anyway, so I might as well butt in when I can. I'm a lousy
That's
typer.
Yeah.
So
I'm fat fingered when I'm freaking typing, man, because I constantly spell checking myself. I'm always making mistakes and all that.
I don't even. Anyone who's watched me in the chat knows I don't even bother correcting it.
Screw it. All right, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. We will continue part 2 of our conversation with the illustrious Max Powers.
Illustrious. Mad Max.
Mad Max.
Dirty Max, according to Sandra. Apparently, I've been dirty. I don't know.
You clean up well. I'm like, huh? What? Okay. All right, Brandon. Thanks, buddy. All right, we're gonna finish this out with. It's been a great show. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you all tomorrow. And remember, till next time, I love you, mean it. Bye.